Hello, this is Dieter for SiteManager.io. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can design components using grid layout. Let's get started. As you can see, we're logged into our project where we already take a close look at the global style sheet and added a navigation bar and a footer to the page. But now we want to add some content to it, and there are many ways you can add new content sections to your page. You can design or code your own, or you can pick ones from the library. It will start with an installed components, like in this example, only the content text component is available to be added to the page, but obviously you can install components from the SiteManager platform or from your own private library. However, in this case, we're going to show you how to grid layout works, so we're going to design a component from scratch. When we click this button, we give our component a name, and let's name it grid, just to keep it simple. Now the design engine starts, and as you can see, it starts with the grid layout already active. Inside the grid, you can add elements to it. So when we click this button, you can have different sections and folders with different types of blocks that you can add to the grid. Developers can code their own blocks and add them to the grid, which will be explained in later videos. In this example, we are just going to add an image to our grid. First, let's go over the grid properties. To select the grid properties, simply click the button right here to open and close it. Once you can see the grids visually on the canvas, here are the properties. It starts with the container, which is the width where the grid will be placed inside of your component. For each breakpoint, you can set obviously your own container, and you can also set the gutter, which is the space on the left and right of the container. When we go to the layout properties, you see that grid is selected. We can also design with horizontal and vertical flex, which will be explained in our next video. The grid properties contain columns, rows, and a gap, which are visually represented here. So we can change adding columns to or subtracting columns from our grid, and as you can see it visually, you can see how it changes the way that the grid is rendered. In this example, we are just going to use the default settings of the grid, which is 12 columns, 6 rows, and a 30 gap. But to design specific elements, you can do whatever you want with this grid for each breakpoint. Inside the grid, we can position all the element blocks that we added. For example, when we select this image, you will see that we can change the properties of this block. Right now, it's set to fill because it's an image, but if we're going to work with text later, we can center it or position it inside the block, how the content is behaving inside the block. You can also set your overflow properties to visible or hidden. This is when content exceeds the dimensions of the block inside the grid. You can select any block and position it inside the grid, and you can also resize it, as you can see right here. And the cool thing about the grid of SiteManager is that you can make it snap to the border of the page going outside the grid. So this is what we're doing with our image right now, and we're gonna position it like this in our design. When you select a block, you also see that you have multiple options. You can delete it, send it to the front or back, hide it, lock it, and you can also change the styling or edit the contents. When we are going to edit the content, we are actually connected to the SiteManager CMS automatically, and in this example we are going to select an image from our image library. Our image library is empty, so we are going to upload an image, or in this example we're going to use our Pexels integration and look for a cool sunset image. I really like this one, so we're going to add it to our project. Now that the image is added to our library, we just simply click plus button, save, and go back to our application, and now the image has been updated and shown into our design. Let's add another block to our grid. We click add elements, and this time we are going to add a simple background block. With the background block, we just select it by clicking on it, and then we can position it inside the grid. And the cool thing about grid is that you can position elements on top of each other. And you can use the layer stacking order and to show which block is on top and which block is on the bottom. Also, from the layer stack, you can add elements, delete or change the properties, and select which element you want to change. For our background, now we want to change this background color to a lighter, so we are going to click Style Element. That opens our design panels. The styling will also be explained more in detail in one of our next videos, but right now just simply click the background and change the color to a lighter blue, save it and close our panel. You can always click here to refresh the view of your grid. Right now we want some content inside of this block. So what we're going to do is add another element. As you can see, we first deselect our background so we can see the plus button again. And this time we're just going to add some text that we are going to drag on top of our background. We click to select the default text and position it right on top of our background. And right here you can see we can change the alignment. So we want to change the vertical alignment of our text to the center. And we also want to add some padding to it. So we once again are going to click the Style Element button, go to Dimensions, open the padding panel, and add a 40 pixel padding to our text. And as you can see, it's really easy to design broken components with our grid engine. You can also change your grid for each breakpoint, and you can also add custom breakpoints to your layout. Once you are done designing your first grid component, click Save and Exit to return to the content editor. What's really cool when you design components with the Site Manager engine is that everything that you design is immediately ready to be edited inside the CMS. So you don't have to code anything anymore. The design you just created, when we go to the content view, the image can be changed, the text can be changed. It's really easy. It's automatically done for you. On top of that, developers can go into code mode and add or do whatever they want, building custom solutions, integrations, with the design system attached to it. That will be explained obviously in our later videos. I would like to thank you for watching and see you on the next one.